I'm sure you were invited to the White House last night, but you never show up to anything you're invited to. But if you went last night, you would be hearing a lot of White House officials very upset, not at Joe Lieberman. And again, this is fascinating. Which you would think.
Right.
It would be Lieberman, but instead it's Howard Dean who has earned their special wrath last night and this morning, moving forward.
Yeah, misdirected anger, I would say, Joe. They can't do anything to Lieberman, so they're going to lash out internally at Dr. Dean, who, certainly has a point from his side of the aisle in what he's talking about.
Again,
yes,
because you can't overstate this too much. Yes, Joe Lieberman is holding up a piece of legislation, but Joe Lieberman is not standing in the way of a piece of legislation that America wants. I've yet to see a poll over the last 2 or 3 months that show Americans want health care reform in any form. It has been an ugly process over the past 3, 4, 5 months, and Americans have turned. The White House lost this argument in August and September, like Lawrence
I don't know if they've turned on it. I wonder if they've ever really grasped it as something front and center that is so important to them when you have 80% of people who have health care coverage and have other issues.
But it starts off in the lead and people look at it more and more and more over the summer and things. And right now, I think, frankly, the Republicans who are opposing it are probably more in tune with the country than the whole Democratic Party.
Joe Lieberman is apparently getting closer to throwing his support behind the plan. It comes after he almost single-handedly forced Democrats to strip the public option and the expansion of Medicare.
I'm getting toward that position where I can say what I wanted to say all along, that I'm ready to vote for health care reform. The president laid out a couple of big goals for this process. Bend the cost curve down for individuals, families, businesses, our government, our economy of health care. And secondly, bring a lot of people in who can't afford health insurance now. The basic core bill does that.
Having said that, the White House sees Joe Lieberman as part of the political process, not seemingly that put off by him. They are put off, though, by Dr. Howard Dean, who appeared last night on with Lawrence O'Donnell. He is speaking out against this plan. Take a listen.
What would be your advice to a senator, a Democratic senator on the floor of the Senate, on passage of this bill? The choice is to vote yes or no.
No. Absolutely not. You can't vote for a bill like this in good conscience. It costs too much money. It isn't health care reform. For me, I'd kill the bill all entirely and have the House start in reconciliation, which is what they should have done in the first place. To be held up by 4 senators, a minority of 40 who are totally uncooperative, which is the Republicans, and then 4 senators who are beholden to the insurance industry, I think is wrong.
A lot of animosity, at least what we were hearing at the party last night. I won't name names, but I heard it from several people in the administration. Howard Dean, they're not pleased with Dr. Dean speaking out about health care reform in this plan.
Yeah, they're irritated. Yeah, yes, I have. And isn't it fascinating? They don't seem to be too angry at Lieberman. They're reserving their fervor for Howard Dean. But actually, one senior official I talked to this morning paid the highest insult, which was to call him irrelevant to the entire health care debate. You know, he kind of had his moment in the sun in the last week when this Medicare expansion looked like it was going to be the thing that broke the logjam between the progressives in the party and the moderates. But of course, because of Lieberman, the Medicare expansion is gone. And now Dean is having what one official called a tantrum to me, and they think it's just not helpful. But they say he's irrelevant because bottom line is, even though in this meeting yesterday with all the Democrats, a lot of liberals did blow off steam. There's a lot of frustration. They're annoyed that the public option is gone, that then they compromised to do the Medicare expansion. Now it's gone. At the end of the day, the moderates are holding sway over this bill. But at the end of the day, the president's been able to hold them in line, and they think progressives will be with them.
You know, Katie Kay, it seems to me that Howard Dean is trying to explain not only what he sees wrong with the plan, what concerns him, but explaining it. And that's something that I think if you talk to people, just go outside and talk to someone, so they would not be able to explain to you what they're going to get.
And I wonder whether all the numbers that Pat was talking about earlier in the Washington Post, the numbers of Americans that don't like this bill, part of it, I think, is because they don't know what's in it. It's been through so many processes now. It's been through so many different committees. We've had the House bill, we've had the Senate bill. We've had all the different committee bills. I wonder actually whether people are very clear about what's in this bill, and for Howard Dean to come out, who actually understands medicine after all, and understands the healthcare business. I think he is coming out and trying to explain this.
Well, here, he's not only explaining it, though.
But he's also saying kill it, which is why, of course, the White House is asking for it.
What Obama's going to tell you is healthcare reform is a fraud and a sellout. And that has tremendous resonance, I think, in the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. That's what he's saying. He's saying this thing is not, it's not just we disagree here. The whole thing is a fraud and a sellout because they don't have the public option and because the insurance companies are going to make out like bandits.
Well, whatever they get through, if they get it through, Savannah Guthrie, it gives the president the political will to do a lot more ahead in his presidency. Savannah, final thoughts.
Yeah, just the message that the president had for those progressive Democrats was just think about where we are. Don't say this bill does nothing. It's going to expand coverage to 30 million Americans, and if we had told you that 3 years ago, you'd be over the moon happy. So let's keep our eye on the prize. You're getting all of these health insurance reforms in terms of some of the worst, most egregious practices of the insurance industry. So that's what the president's message was. Keep your eye on the ball. No, you're not getting everything you want, but you're getting a lot.
All right, NBC, Savannah.